All right, Ian.
Pat.
We haven't talked about the value.
Oh no, value.
The value of certain games in a while. I mean, we it's now it's now almost cliche. We talked about how NES games peaked a few years ago in terms of the price value, and probably in terms of of people wanting to collect them. But it's happened in your eyes with other cartridge-based systems as well. Here,
Yes,
and we saw at Portland this year how it sort of shifted away from cartridges, somewhat at least, to the late '90s, early 2000s era. To be the predominant. You said to me it looked more like a flea market. Some vendors were.
well, yeah, it seemed like. I mean, I think that's just more the selling style. But yes,
But the wall of gray games was not there like how it used to be, or like
Right.
sea of gray games.
Yes, correct.
Or if you want to say even Genesis games was not there. So because I was bored and because I was like, you know what, I want to see what's going on with expensive games. What's one of the most expensive NES games? Flintstones Surprise at Dinosaur Peak. That along with Little Samson. If you come down off the Steam events high, that's what you look at for games that are hard to find that collectors want, that people want. So I decided for the hell of it to look at what is it trending for? What's it going on eBay? I went to eBay, Ian. I looked at it, what it's for sale, and not to my surprise, but maybe to my I don't know. I'm going blank here. It was a confirmation that something's happening in terms of these prices starting to slide a bit. And when you go on and you see buy it nows for Dinosaur Peak in the range of even $780, $773, it's a surprising beat up copy for $580 or best offer. And I made sure that some of these aren't the PAL ones, that they're the North American ones. And you definitely see something happening. Because these are games that people would price at $900,000 and leave them there in the past, and that's what they would be going for. And just to make sure, if you click on completed listings for Dinosaur Peak for sold, you see what they're selling for. Let's see. Here's one for $565 that was an open bid. Here's one for $600. Looks like it was a buy it now. Here's one for $510 with 51 bids. 51 bids, it only got up to $510. And here's one for only $355. It says 100% original. Is that a South American version or a PAL one? Let me click on it to be sure. That's the regular version. Right there, it's probably from originally from South America, like a lot of them were found. So this isn't just me saying, oh, the bubbles burst, but we've definitely seen a regression, I think, from the mean of what these games got up to. And I think it's time that people sort of look at themselves and say, yeah, the peak is gone, Dinosaur Peak, pun intended here. And that naturally at some point these games get back on the market and people just want to get some cash back for either what they spent, or maybe they saw the games go up to an absurd point, or say, you know what, I want to get out right now, and that's what these prices tell me at a cursory glance. Because even 3 years ago, even a damaged Dinosaur Peak, you're not going to say would go for $355 or $510.
Sure,
that just did not happen. So, and then again at Portland, when I saw the double jump games, had the games behind the glass. The higher end NES games, and I straight up asked, are these selling? And he said they haven't moved all weekend at Portland. So, what do you think, Ian, when you see stuff like that? Is it sort of just, it's not a surprise? It's just sort of,
no, it doesn't.
What it is.
I mean, it doesn't surprise me. I work in selling games. I've been watching this kind of happen for the past couple of years. I don't think the crash is immediate. I don't think in the next year we're going to see all these games at $5 again. But I don't think that the downward slide is endless. I don't think these games are going to necessarily slide into complete and total worthlessness. At least certainly not within the next 10 to 15 years. I think video game collecting has become enough of a thing, and there is enough, I don't know what I want to say, history behind it now, that it's that there are always going to be rare items that maintain a price.
There always will be a base level of buyers out there.
Sure. But yeah, I do think, yes, I think that everything is going to become more grounded within the next, 2 years. And I think then the prices will kind of stabilize for probably the next 10. That's my guess.
Yeah. It's interesting. I will say this: the $355 one, it was a relabel, so that's why that was so low. So I would say that's then an outlier then.
Oh yeah, that's definitely an outlier.
But the ones that are
I'm surprised that a fucking relabel gets anything.
But the ones that are in the $500 range, they look okay to me. The ones that I'm saying, there's a handful of them, even a 650 one there. If you scroll down, wow, did the manual only went for 280 for the manual? Oh, it's Scandinavian. Okay, as I say, that's extremely low if that was a North American manual. That's one of the manuals I still need. Yeah, it's just a slide. Like I said, it may not be a bubble popping, but it'll be a regression to an earlier point in time.
Yeah.
When the collectors that got in to inflate the value get out, there's less collectors, there's less interest, there's a sell-off. I'd be interested to see who's buying these if they are sellers looking to say, oh, wow, this is a weird one. I got one for $500. I can flip this Dinosaur Peak for $900, and when they realize they can't anymore. Mm-hmm. And that's the problem. We talk about, how many of these games are still in sellers' hands when this happens. And that's when there's a potential bubble burst. Because that's really when the struggle is when you have people that want to get back in investment, not just, say you bought a Dinosaur Peak. I bought my Dinosaur Peak for $90 10 years ago, whatever it was. I can hold on to it and not worry about whatever happens to these prices.
Right.
But if I spent $700 on one hoping to make $300 and sell for $1,000, now I'm having concerns about it. And that's when it becomes a sell-off with those people. The people who go to conventions that have the same games for now a year and a half and can't move them. What are they thinking about? And then that's when it's a bubble. So I think it's more going to be a bubble for certain games versus obviously the whole set, because there's always certain marquee titles that if you're a video game seller you have before you look in the glass. That there's going to have these 3 or 4 games. Like a Dinosaur Peak or a Little Sims.
Sure.
Those are the ones that are in most danger.
I could see a lot of games in the $30 to $60 range dropping to be $15 games in no time, because those are the ones that less people are going to care about as people just collect for certain things that they want.
And even I went to the swap meet and there was a seller. On Saturday, something weird was drawing me to the swap meet on Saturday, Ian. I had nothing to do. I didn't really buy anything. But there was a video game vendor there who was selling stuff for his friend. And he said to me, yeah, I was surprised to see like a Super Mario Bros. 3 was like a $15, $20 game. Now it's like a $9, $10 game. I'm just like, you expect it to be that high forever? It's a very common game. It's popular and everyone has it right now. And there's less people clamoring to play NES games on their, on an old CRT. It's just,
yep.
That's just the bottom line. So, okay, well, so we'll check back on the other ones like this every once in a while. Oh, Did I tell you I met the guy who pushed up the Rampart Game Boy price? Remember we talked about that? He was.
I remember talking about it. I don't remember you telling me.
I met the guy.
Oh, that's cool. This is an interesting story. I like that. That was interesting to me.
I met the guy, and that was what was that? It was like 4 or 5 years ago. We spoke about that, and he still owns some of those copies, trying to slowly integrate them back.
Oh, really?
into the population. Yeah, he bought. If people aren't familiar, it was sort of the not easily. I mean, we always knew this would happen, but a guy that jumped the price of a Rampart uncommon Game Boy black and white game from like $5 to over $20 in the course of a few months, just by buying every available copy. And we sort of knew it. That was sort of confirmation that, that's how the market works. I saw it with NES games all the time, more like 10 years ago. I saw it with uncommon games back then.